UN Human Rights Commission calls for investigation into Israel's indiscriminate attacks in Gaza Strip, and Kingdom of Saudi Arabia condemns the continued aggression in the Strip and calls for ceasefire. And the Israeli occupation continues bombarding a number of hospitals in Gaza amid warnings of the imminent health and humanitarian crises. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President João Manuel Lourenço of the Republic of Angola on his country's National Day. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia condemned the Israeli aggression and targeting the civilians taking place in the Gaza Strip and the occupation authorities' continued violations of the international law, reiterating the call to stop the aggression. This came during a speech by His Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, Crown Prince of the Saudi Arabia and Prime Minister at the beginning of the Saudi African Summit, which was launched in the Saudi capital Riyadh. He also announced the launch of King Salman's development initiative in Africa, stressing the kingdom's support for the African Union to gain full membership in the G20. For his part, the chairman of the African Union Commission called for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and to find a political solution to the Palestinian issue. The United Nations Human Rights Chief Volker Turk called today for an investigation into what he called Israel's indiscriminate bombardment and shelling in densely populated areas in the Gaza Strip during a press conference in the Jordanian capital Amman. Turk added that Israel must immediately end the use of such methods and means of warfare, and the attacks must be investigated. He also said that high levels of civilians' casualties and the wide destruction of civilian infrastructure raises serious concerns that these amount to disproportionate attacks and the breach of international humanitarian law. Airstrikes have leveled entire city blocks across the territory, and around 70% of the population has fled their homes, with many heeding Israeli orders to head to the southern part of the besieged territory, which is also being bombed. The number of Palestinians' casualties in Gaza have risen to 10,818, according to Health Ministry in Gaza. In previous wars, the ministry's counts have held up to UN scrutiny, independent investigations, and even Israel's tallies. In its latest update on Thursday, the ministry said the figure included the death of 4,412 children and 2,198 women. The Israeli occupation aircraft launched simultaneous airstrikes on a number of hospitals or near them, threatening the health system, which is facing difficulties after the influx of thousands of injured and displaced Palestinians. The raids targeted the courtyard of Al Shifa Hospital, Ar-Rantisi Children's Hospital, Al Nasser Children's Hospital, and the Indonesian hospital, resulting in deaths and a number of injuries. The health sector witnessed a series of attacks and bombings on Gaza's hospitals, which are facing difficulty keeping up with the number of wounded people flocking to them amid the depletion of medical supplies, clean water, and the fuel needed to operate electricity generators. The number of Palestinians killed in the Gaza Strip rose to more than 10,800, and about 40% of whom were children, while 20 out of 35 hospitals in Gaza and 40 health facilities were out of service due to damage resulting from the bombing and lack of fuel. The spokesman for the Palestinian Jihad movement announced that the movement is ready to release two hostages it is holding, a woman and a boy, as soon as security conditions permit. This comes within the U.S. White House announcing truces for 4 hours a day in the Gaza Strip, which will allow residents to cross to safer areas through two humanitarian corridors. Although Israel agreed to temporarily stop military operations in parts of northern Gaza, there are no indications that the fighting will stop, and no official confirmation has been issued regarding a plan to implement repeated truces. Also, evacuation operations from the Gaza Strip to Egypt for foreign passport holders and Palestinians who need medical treatment through the Rafah crossing resumed after being suspended for 1 day. Egyptian medical sources said that about 700 holders of foreign passports were able to cross, while 12 people with 10 companions were evacuated for medical reasons. Evacuation operations were halted on Wednesday for a second time after the Israeli occupation forces bombed the road leading to Rafah. Evacuations from Gaza via Rafah began on November 1st for an estimated 7,000 foreign passports holders and dual nationals and their families, in addition to a limited number of people in need of urgent medical treatment. In order to enhance the comprehensive government digital transformation in the Al-Dhahra Governorate, the Governor Office signed an agreement to provide digital infrastructure work services to the government departments under its management. The agreement included providing an advanced digital infrastructure and a modern electronic connectivity network, which will contribute to improving electronic services provided to citizens and institutions in the governorate. Also, with the aim of shedding light on women and highlighting their role in the comprehensive development process, the Ministry of Social Development organized the third Women and Society Forum in the Wusta Governorate. The forum included dialogue sessions on the women's entrepreneurship and their role in sustainable development, and the launch of the Qima initiative to market the products of the productive families. Oman oil price January delivery reached today $81.40 per barrel. Oman oil price today rose by 10 cents compared to yesterday's price, which was $81.30. The average price of Oman oil November delivery reached $92.77 per barrel, increasing by $6.02 than the price of September delivery. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's news bulletin, here are the main points once again. UN Human Rights Commission calls for investigation into Israel's indiscriminate attacks in Gaza Strip, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia condemns the continued aggression in the Strip and calls for ceasefire. And the Israeli occupation continues bombarding a number of hospitals in Gaza amid warnings of imminent health and humanitarian crises. With that, we have come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, thank you for watching and have a good night.